Hello there fellow NPCs, I am Scythe and today we're getting back into Everlasting Summer. We are currently on the Slavya path and we got to see a lot of things, including Slavya naked, And there's a pretty big chance, I think she did see us, of watching her that is. So yeah, we will see exactly how she feels about that. Am I gonna be a creepy old perv? Well, not old because we're the same age, but still, a creepy perv. Or is she going to accept that it's okay to be seen? I don't know. I don't know where this is going to take us, actually. She's a bit... she's one with nature. She's a naturalist in that sense. But we'll see how she responds to being watched, We'll see how that turns out. But now, let's go. The ringing seemed to be coming from the depths of my consciousness. But after I came to my senses, I realized the cause of the ringing is my alarm clock. Strange. Where did it come from? Why is it standing near my bed? Haven't we seen this already? Apparently not. It was 7:30, according to the clock. Olga Dmitrievna has already left, and there was nobody to force me to go to the lineup. Oh, are we early birds because Slavya is an early bird? Is that why? Thus, I can sleep a bit more. I guess not. I closed my eyes, but it seemed like my unconsciousness had already had its coffee and was ready for a long, productive day. I need to get up. I should plan my day out. After all, I need to at least find out something today. But still, nothing came to my head. Fine. I need to wake up completely and wash myself. On my way to the washdowns, I met Senya. What got you up so early? Anything wrong with being up early? She looked at me as if I had insulted her. No, nothing. Just curious. None of your business. Gosh, Senya isn't very sympathetic even when she's in a good mood, but today she looked furious. Cold water perked me up, the fog in my head dissipated and my thoughts started arranging themselves. Curiously, I started to worry about finding a good place in the canteen more than about finding answers. I brushed my teeth and was going to leave, when a quiet sound wafted past my ears. It's probably a squirrel, or some other animal. Haven't we seen this? No, I guess not. I heard another sound, this time a bit farther. No, this is different. I walked 10 meters along the path, searching for the source. Nobody, just the morning forest. I returned to the washstands and saw Miku, who was looking for something in the grass. Noticing me, she smiled and jumped up to me. Oh, hello, good morning. I accidentally scattered the tooth powder. Just trying to gather it all back up. Yeah, we saw this. Why can't I get past it? Oh, man. The dewy grass didn't seem to be helping matters. Are you sure that's a good idea? Well, why? What else can I do? I don't have any more. It was the last I had. She pouted like a child who had just had her favorite toy taken away from her. Here, I'll give you mine. I dug into my bag. No tooth powder there. Strange. Didn't I just put it there? I walked away just for a minute and now it's gone. Listen, it looks like I've forgotten it. I didn't want to tell her that it had just gone missing. Knowing the sensitivity of this girl, it was safe to assume that vanishing household goods would impress her so much that her brain would reset itself in order to avoid overheating. Well, I'll be off. Yeah, cheers. Visit us. I mean, visit me in the music club. I'm still here. I'm still alone there, but Miku's voice faded in the freshness of the summer morning far behind me. Oh, are we inching closer to the Miku path here? I did start her path, so maybe that's why we're seeing her. Getting back to the leader's cabin, I took my cell phone and looked at the battery meter. Enough power for a day, maybe even less. Of course, it won't help me much in here, but still. Finding a charger in the 80s would mean inventing it. I was going to head to breakfast when somebody knocked on the door. It was Slavya. Good morning. Have you seen Olga Dmitrievna? I stared at her breast. They had just mesmerized me too much the day before. Semyon? Slavya was looking at me worryingly, but I still couldn't manage to shift my gaze away from her breasts. Fucking pathetic, man. Fucking pathetic. Is something wrong? On the contrary, everything is just, Olga Dmitrievna? I don't know. She wasn't here when I woke up. I finally managed to control myself. Fine. I still have one thing to do. So see you at breakfast. Slavya smiled, waved at me and ran away. Still, regardless, the morning was shining and beautiful. The bright sun was shining over the space and time-displaced pioneer camp Sovyanok, warming its residents and filling them with energy to spend the day productively. Or in my case, to waste it in a futile efforts to find an explanation for everything happening here. There was an unusually large crowd near the canteen. Of course, there was no other place in the camp that pioneers loved as much as the canteen, but why were they all crowding on the porch? I came closer to find out what was going on. It looked like all the camp had gathered at the porch. They were all the familiar girls, Olga Dmitrievna and Electronic. They were having a lively discussion. I drew closer. Ah, Semyon. Have you seen Shurik today? Nope. What's the matter? We haven't been able to find him since early morning. Disappearing pioneers. Well, that's something new. But he was with you yesterday. She was talking to Electronic. Yes, he was. So you woke up this morning and he wasn't anywhere to be found? No. Why didn't you come to me immediately? Well, I thought he got up early and wanted to wash up or something. Didn't mention anything yesterday, interjected Slavya. For example, that he was going somewhere, for instance. Nope. What exactly is so horrifying about that? It's only 9 AM. He might have decided to go for a walk. You don't know, Shurik. She looked over at me seriously. Well, no, I don't. But I didn't see anything suspicious in this situation. Okay, let's stop panicking. We'll find him. How could he miss breakfast? Uliana grinned. Exactly, time to eat anyway. The pioneers proceeded into the canteen. Yet again, I had no choice where to fit in. The only three places were at the table with Alyssa and Uliana. Have we seen this then? Yes, we have. And in order to get more points with Slavia, we're going to visit our own place. We did this in the beginning, I believe, when I was just fooling around. But I don't think I can flash past this. Yes, I can. Awesome. However, I was so inspired by Slavia's action that I decided to continue searching somewhere else. Ah, okay, so yeah, she told us to continue to look for him. But that is not important, so we'll just flash past this and I'll see you guys soon. And now we're back for real, and yeah, we scored a point in the infirmary. We did not ask to see what was in her bundle. I'm thinking it was lady products, you know. But we will go with Uliana. What am I saying? I meant to say Slavia. I'll go with him. Very well, it's better together. Are you sure? I asked Slavia in a whisper. I wanted to be sure, but she didn't answer, just smiled. I looked speechlessly at Slavia for some time. Why is she always helping me? Very good. Good luck then, both of you. We'll need it. The camp leader and the other girls said their goodbyes and went their own ways. I was quite surprised that they're treating our night walk through the forest to the abandoned camp as something normal. Well, it can't really be helped. Wait a minute, I'll bring a flashlight. A flashlight, sure. While I was waiting for Slavia, I had a strange thought. Why is she always so kind, sympathetic and ready to help? Why did she offer to go with me to the God knows where? It's always the quiet ones. But Lena is the quiet one, not Slavia. She's not very talkative, per se, but she's not quiet. Should I be concerned about her? I'm back. With a smile, Slavia gave me a flashlight. Shall we go? From what Electronic told us, the old building was built right after the war. It looked like a kindergarten, or like barracks I expected, and definitely could hold less pioneers than today's camp. It had been abandoned for about 20 years. It was now totally dark. It seemed like the forest was as afraid of us as we were of it. Trees politely moved away, grouping at the sides of the path and patiently watching us. An owl hooted somewhere far away, but more quietly than usual. I wasn't afraid walking next to Slavya. Probably in any other situation in the real world, I would be too scared to go into a forest without a proper path. But I tried to get rid of these thoughts. Although it was strange, Slavya probably soothed my self-preservation instincts, and my sense of reality was blunted. If it continues this way, I'll jump towards some beast with a smile on my face. You're not afraid at all, are you? Meaning? Slavya turned round and looked at me, smiling in a strange way, either with misunderstanding or with gentle mockery. Or maybe I was just seeing things. Well, night, the forest, the old camp. Yes, it sort of gives me the chills. Yes, sort of? Are you afraid? No, well, yes, but it's natural human reaction in this kind of situation. Yeah, he's having a feeling that he needs to defend himself here. That's interesting. I didn't want to show my fear, but I wasn't really scared. I just felt that being scared is what I should be in a situation like this. Okay. It was like my body had stopped producing antibodies to fight against the infection. I was scared, not by the night forest, but by the fact that I was reacting to everything that was happening in the wrong way. On the other hand, I didn't want to make a fool of myself. I see. Slavya smiled again and continued walking. The path, surrounded by trees and bushes, was becoming more narrow. The deeper we went into the forest, the less clearly we could see the moon. Moon. For a moment, clouds hit the moon and everything was submerged into almost pitch-black darkness. Oh, we're closing our eyes here. Blinking and winking. I closed my eyes tight, and when I opened them, the moon has taken its place again and painted the world in the bright white colors of its night shroud. I only just realized how much I hate the dark. Finally, a clear space appeared far away ahead, and a minute later we were standing at the edge of a forest glade. Oh, okay, no, this is... I thought it was going to be like an open field or something. There was a ramshackle old camp building, eroded by rain, rust and beetles. It smiled at us with broken windows like a gap-toothed mouth. A silent rebuke from the dead of the living could be read in the smile. A cemetery fog clouded the whole glade, so ghosts, ghouls, zombies, devils and other evil entities seemed to loom from the haze. This sight was enough to give the average person a heart attack, or at least a panic attack. If Slavya hadn't taken my hand, I surely wouldn't have been able to stand it. It won't be as scary this way. She smiled. I couldn't say anything else, just grasped her hand tightly. What am I even doing here? Looking for Shurik at night in the forest, here? How could I ever agree? There's not a single normal person who would, but the world around me can't be really called normal. I tried to persuade myself that I was finding answers and that it can't really get any worse. To be honest, nothing bad had actually happened to me during the last 4 days in this camp. Besides, I had no special reason to think that something bad would happen. Maybe it's just the way the world works. People can't live without adventures. Shall we go? Yeah, I guess. But we didn't make a move. Slavya seemed to be waiting for me to take the first step, but I had just enough courage to stand still without running away. No. There we go. The moon showed up from behind the clouds again and lit up the old camp building. Now it looked like a tomb, but all dead pictures in my imagination grew real. Visions of ghosts became more focused. The wailing of the wind and the grass rustling got clearer. Noises of the unknown origin could be heard from afar. Seems like it was a great place before. I looked at Slavya carefully. Maybe she was scared, but she was trying to hide it. Knowing that, I felt a little better and calmer. Maybe. Let's go? Sure. I stepped carefully, watching every step, trying not to touch the old fence, the crooked merry-go-round or the rusty slide. In some places the grass was waist high, so any wrong move could lead to broken legs or hands. At least At last we came to the entrance and I pointed my flashlight inside. The darkness that looked back at me was much scarier than the view outside. At least the moon shone brightly there. I gathered up all my courage and crossed the threshold. The inside of the old camp building looked like a kindergarten from my childhood. The layout of the interior, even the rotten furniture was similar. Well, I shivered, picking out more and more remains of the joy of children along with a flashlight. I shivered, picking out more and more remains of the joy of children long gone with a flashlight. Creepy. Slavya was not holding my hand by now, but embracing it, firmly pressing herself against me. However, I didn't sense any fear in her voice. Oh, no, huh? No fear. I wonder whether it's a good idea to come here in the middle of the night. Perhaps not. Shall we go back then? No. What about Shurik? She said in genuine astonishment. Well, Shurik, why did he even come here in the first place? Maybe he isn't even here. Where else could he be? I don't know. Eaten by wolves, maybe? Don't say that. Slavya frowned and stepped away from me. I was already so used to being with her that I was slightly upset by her approach. Well, okay. Let's assume that there are no wolves. Though you can never be sure. Well, since we're here, let's search. We searched all the rooms of the old camp, playrooms, bedrooms, canteen, kitchen and toilets. I even looked in the closet, which was choked with empty, decayed cardboard boxes. Look! When we returned to the place we started from, Slavya picked up something from the floor and gave it to me. It was an old doll with torn, frayed threads, missing a hand and an eye, faded from damp. So what? I pity it. What? This doll? Yes. Why would you pity it? Someone played with her, then just threw her away and forgot about her. And she's been here alone all these years, in the rain, in the cold. I couldn't really tell if Slavya was serious or not. I don't think this is the time to think about such things. On the other hand, what would be a proper time for that? Slavya looked really upset. Yes, maybe. I took the doll and examined it. I remembered how I once found a stuffed lion the same way that Slavya just found this doll. I took him home, washed him and was careful with him as with the other toys, even though he was long past his retirement age. You should give it to Liana. Slavya laughed. Suddenly the wind howled down the passage, singing some kind of eerie tune. A light flashed and I instinctively jumped, caught my leg on something and tumbled to the floor. Are you alright? Slavya ran over to me and helped me get up. Yes, more or less. I tripped on a trap door. It's strange that we hadn't noticed it already. The dirt around the door was cleared. It seemed like it was open not too long ago. We're not going down there, are we? I asked, trying to preempt Slavya's suggestion. She only gave me a sad glance. Come on, are we playing at diggers now? I moaned while lifting the hatch cover with quite an effort. My common sense was crying out, telling me I shouldn't do this, but contrarily to my logic... suggested that if this world wanted to kill me, I'd already be dead. But it's only because of Slavya, otherwise there's no way I would go down there. 2 meters of a rusty metal ladder led down to a dirty concrete floor. I leaned over the edge and illuminated a narrow passage, going somewhere into the darkness. And what is there? I think I heard about a bomb shelter under the old camp. A bomb shelter? Well, that's pretty logical, considering the time it was built. Why would Shurik need to go there? I don't know. Of course, it wasn't necessarily him who opened the hatch, and it's obvious that someone had opened it just recently. But who would be more likely to get the idea of going down there than a mad inventor? If we discard theories of supernatural involvement, there can be no other humans in this forest. No other humans, huh? At least, that's what I thought. Alright, I'll go first. Then if everything is fine, you follow me. What might not be fine? Slavya looked scared but seemed to ask more out of politeness. Well, I don't know. Rats, for example? Are you afraid of rats? Guess I shouldn't have asked. I sighed deeply and began to descend. We advanced slowly, holding hands. In the pitch darkness, the flashlight was not helping much. Only occasionally it would illuminate pieces of an old newspaper and scrap metal lying here and there. Suddenly it began to feel as if the walls and ceiling, covered in endless twisting cords, were pressing in on me, as if the passage was getting narrower. I spread my arms, trying to measure the passage's width. Are we still far off? Asked Slavya sadly. Far from where? I got no clue. Alright. Just then a massive metal door appeared before me as if from nowhere. Oh, cried Slavya softly. I tried the handle and it seemed to yield a bit. You ready? Not sure. Though, speaking frankly, what could you prepare for in such a situation? The wheel turned a few times, squeaking horribly, then finally reached its limits and went quiet. I pulled on the door with all my weight, and it reluctantly opened. There was some sort of chamber behind it, which turned out to be the bomb shelter itself. When we entered, the light suddenly went on, making me flinch. Though it was likely that there was an independent power source here, at the time when these catacombs had been dug, people had been building things to last. The bomb shelter looked exactly like what I imagined. It had everything to sustain prolonged human existence during a war. The locked containers, chemical protection suits, gas masks, dry rations, and water cans. At the far wall I noticed a lot of various tools, pressure meters, radiation meters, a radio and some others. However, this place looked like nobody has used it, which was not actually that surprising. Furthermore, it looked like nobody had ever entered it after it was built. Slavya gave me a questioning look. Well, Shurik is definitely not here. But was he? No idea, but if he was here, he couldn't just vanish. I looked around the room again and noticed another door in the wall to my left. Maybe there. However, the door wouldn't open. What if he barred it from the other side? But why? I don't know. Still, it was quite possible, assuming he was there at all. By the looks of things, Shurik was hiding, maybe running from someone. Such thoughts made me uneasy, and I felt like putting myself on the other side of the door as fast as I could. I pushed hard, but the door only gave a dull creak. Here, maybe this could work. Slavya handed me a crowbar. I fumbled with it, considering how I could better tackle the door. Let's give it a try. Oh! It falls down again, huh? Using all my strength, I managed to pull the door off its hinges, and it crashed onto the floor. While I was recovering from my efforts, Slavya pointed the flashlight down the newly opened passage. There's a corridor here, just the same as the previous one. Jeez, this place is a real maze. Shall we go? Hold on. I sat down in the bunk, took a dusty pillowcase off a pillow and wiped my forehead. Let me catch my breath. Slavya sat down next to me and began to study the details of the floor tile patterns. Better turn off the flashlight for now. Oh yes. She blushed slightly and clicked the switch off. It's just plain creepy. I caught myself thinking that I have not been treating these events as real for the last half an hour. As if they had not been happening to me. As if they were just a dream. Did we just create a perfect situation to kiss in the dark? Is that what's happening here? Just like back then, 4 days ago, in the first minutes after I found myself here. Yes, lately I might have started getting used to this world, this reality, as it has become reality for me. And that feeling deep in my soul that I had to find an exit was not so acute anymore. But now again, in a blink of an eye, the forest, the old camp, the bomb shelter. There was absolutely nothing supernatural about any of it, but neither was it anything normal, like anything from my previous life. Yes, agreed Slavya. Don't you find any of this strange? What exactly? Well, the fact that we are sitting here, just you and me, in the night. Wouldn't it be normal in such a situation to instead wait till morning and call the police? Yes, I guess so, she replied thoughtfully. Of course, I almost volunteered. I shouldn't have. Well, almost isn't quite right, but still. But you just wanted to help. If Shurik is here, we should find him as soon as possible. At this rate, we will be the ones they're looking for. You know, he did manage to get lost here. Slavya looked frustrated. Alright. I didn't mean anything like that. Maybe he's not here. Maybe he actually went back to the camp a long time ago. Yes, maybe. But we should still check, right? Of course. Slavya got up and held out her hand to me. It seemed she wasn't as afraid as me. Though I was already tired of being scared myself, and now only wanted all of this to end as soon as possible. This corridor was identical to the other one which we came through to get to the bomb shelter. I was walking at a slow pace, carefully watching the floor and checking from time to time whether the passage was getting narrower. Look! Slavya held my hand tighter and pointed at the breach in the middle of the tunnel. It was wide enough for a man to climb through, or to fall down. Maybe I pointed the light down, but there seemed to be nothing but ground at the bottom. I think we should check this out. The hole was shallow enough for us to climb out afterwards, so at first sight there was nothing to be afraid of. I climbed down carefully and helped Slavya. We found ourselves in some kind of mine. The walls and the ceiling were reinforced by wooden beams, and rails stretched out into the distance. Here and there, the earth pressing down against the fragile design broke through the boards, which were rotting with age. It made the whole structure look a bit unreliable. Where do you think we are? I don't know. Some kind of mine. What could they have mined here? Coal, perhaps? Perhaps. We started to advance slowly. Stones would treacherously shift under our feet now and then. The beam coming from the flashlight trembled and jumped from one wall to the other, often casting shapeless shadows which disappeared as soon as the light was pointed at them. It's scarier here than above. Guess so. The further we went, the stronger my confidence became that Shurik had absolutely nothing to do with this place. He couldn't have been taken by the Chupacabra, could he? Chupacabra? Really? In Soviet Russia? I mean, Chupacabra is from Mexico. It's a good swimmer. Alright, we can't rule out that possibility either. At last we came to a fork in the tunnel. Where do we go now? I don't know. I tried to inject at least some semblance of calm into my voice, but I really had no clue. None at all. Not where to go, not where Shurik was, not even why we were here. What if we get lost? Yeah, right. Let's leave a mark that we have already been here. I picked up at a rather large stone and carefully carved a cross on one of the logs supporting the ceiling. There. Now we'll know that we have already passed this spot. Good. Slavya smiled. So, which way? And we have seen this, so I will see you guys real soon again. After another turn, the flashlight lit up at a wooden door. Well, at least that's something. To tell the truth, I was so tired of wandering around the mine that I had completely stopped thinking about Shurik. I only wanted to find an exit as soon as possible. What's behind it? We're just about to find out. Yeah, here we go. Past the door there was a small chamber, which looked either like the utility room of a boiler house, or like one of the bomb shelter rooms. The floor was littered with empty bottles and the walls were painted with a mess of graffiti, which means that the other people had more than once visited this place before us. Although, from the look of things, they had done so rather long ago. I was running the flashlight beam around the room, trying to check every part of it, when suddenly I found Shurik curled up in a corner. Shurik! Cried Slavya. However, it looked as if he was not paying any attention to us. Here you are. Where have you... We've been looking for you all night. Why in the world did you come here? Shurik looked at me with a hazy, unseeing eyes. And who are you? What do you mean, who are you? Get up already and let's go. I'm not going anywhere with you. Shurik turned away and stared into the darkness again. You want to trick me again? You'll make me go in circles through the tunnels, won't you? Yes, you will. I know you for what you are. Shurik's voice turned into an infernal whisper. Cut this nonsense out already. I wanted to approach him and pull him upright, but Slavya stopped me. He's not quite himself. Well, I'm not quite myself either. You wander here all night, you sure won't be quite yourself. She shook her head reproachfully and slowly went up to Shurik while carefully staying in the light. It's alright, it's me, Slavya. For real? Oh! Holy crap, he's not attacking us this time. Crap! That's awesome. Shurik looked at her and immediately started sobbing quietly. Of course, who else could it be? And that's Semyon with me. We came to find you. Everything's fine now. And you're really not them? Certainly not. We're us. He tried to get up, but he was apparently disoriented and would have fallen if not for Slavya, who caught him by the arm. Easy there. Careful. When they came up to me, I said, Alright, time to get out of here. We can't go back. Back where? Into the mine? Yes. Shurik was speaking calmly, but at the same time his voice was trembling slightly. Why is that? It's where they are. Who are they? The voices. What voices? I was starting to lose my patience. This place and this situation certainly weren't normal, but if there had been anything paranormal here then, by the laws of horror cinema, it should have long since showed its face by now. Calm down, Shurik. Just tell us everything in detail. He took a few deep breaths and started. I need some spare parts for the robot, and I heard that there was a bomb shelter in the old camp. And there is usually a lot of different equipment in the bomb shelters. It's old, of course, but worth disassembling. You can always find coils, resistors. So I went early in the morning. I thought I could finish quickly and get back by breakfast. I got everything I needed. He took some light bulbs and wires out of his pocket and showed them to us. But then, up there in the bomb shelter, I heard some sound from behind the door. Something like moans or wailing. At first I got scared, but then I thought that a person could be in danger, so I went there. And here was this mine, this damn maze. I got completely lost, and the voices always telling me something, sometimes shouting, sometimes whispering, and I can never make out the words. He was ready to burst into tears, but Slavya patted him gently on the head, and Shurik continued. Anyway, I found his room. At last here you can't hear them. So you decided to sit here and wait for rescue, like in a B film? I asked sarcastically. Slavya shot an angry glance at me. Well, in that case, it's time to get out, if there are no objections. Come, I know a shortcut. A shortcut? Yes, you know, I walked all over this place. Alright. Alright, Shurik did not lie. Indeed, after wandering for just about 2 minutes in the mine, we found ourselves under a grate, through which we could see the sky. Then why didn't you get out yourself? Try it, you'll see. I pulled myself up and pulled on the grate a few times. It's true, you can't break it just like that. Gotta use something heavy. I looked down at Slavya and Shurik. Try the flashlight, maybe. The flashlight. I fumbled with it. It was not one of those cheap Chinese fakes from the 90s, which I used to have a lot in our summer cottage. No, it was a real Soviet durable metal flashlight. Not a hammer, of course, but if I tried hard enough, I swung it and started smashing at the grate, aiming for the spots where it was attached to the wall. Soon I got lucky. I heard cracking sounds and a few bolts fell down. A minute later, I was lying on the grass under the monument and breathing into the fresh air with delight. Although, after that mine, any air would seem fresh. Well then, I'll be going. Thank you. Shurik looked a bit lost. I eyed him questioningly for a bit, but ended up saying nothing and just waved my hand for a goodbye. After all, I had neither the strength nor the will to talk with him. And what would I say to him? Scolding him is no use, and the same probably goes for trying to learn anything. What a night. Slavya was sitting next to me and looking dreamily at the moon. Right so. If someone told me just a week ago that I would go to a pioneer camp and would even have to crawl through bomb shelters. But it was fun. In a way. There was indeed something amusing about all this. But there was also something strange. During the last few hours, absolutely anything could have happened to me, but in the end, nothing at all had happened. In a couple of years, I would probably remember this as just a funny incident from childhood. If I lived that long. What do you think? Did I really hear something there? I don't know. It's possible, of course, but most likely it was just his imagination. In such a situation, anyone could start reimagining things. That was not only the most logical explanation, but also the most probable one, because nothing had happened to me in Slavia. Well, I for one think he should go see a psychiatrist. Yes, he should, laughed Slavya. Alright, time to go to bed. I felt like I needed to say something to Slavya. I was not sure that I wanted to, but I could feel the need. Thank you. For what? She gave me a surprised look. I wouldn't have managed without you. It was nothing. Slavya blushed. I was in her debt. Again. I wonder how I could repay her, at least partially, for all that she has done for me. I stared at the night sky, slowly falling asleep. Asleep? Wait! Oh, we're still on the bench, I guess, but go to the cottage. Go to Olga Dmitrievna's cottage. All of today's adventure left me so tired that I had no more strength left. You know, under different circumstances, I would have surely confessed my love to you. You're saying this out loud, I said, losing touch with reality. Though thoughts usually work much faster than common sense. But Slavya wasn't there anymore. Yeah. It's probably for the best. At least she didn't hear. Though it's strange. Why did she leave without saying goodbye? Well, whatever. I'll sleep on it and see you in the morning. Why is the medal coming now? Is Shurik still gonna attack me? I was so tired that I barely made it to the camp leader's cabin. But there was a light in the window. That means she is waiting for me. And that, in turn, means that I'm in for a lecture again. Oh, that's it. And this time, it will be just as pointless as ever. I had absolutely no desire to discuss whether I was right or wrong. The deck chair standing nearby was beckoning to me like a friend, as if suggesting I should sleep in it, forgetting about the mine, Shurik and the camp leader. Here you are, I said blankly, still looking at my cherished deck chair. Semyon. Yeah. We found Shurik. Slavya will give you the details tomorrow, and now I'd really like to sleep. She looked at me confusedly for a moment and then replied, Oh, well, fine. I don't know if mentioning Slavya played its role, but half a minute later I was already in my bed. The event of the day kept turning over for a short while in my head, but soon it started to ache, and it was as if my consciousness switched to safe mode and started to reboot. And that is the end of day 4. Yeah, I guess we need to find some strawberries and stuff in the next video. Yeah, we managed to get through the mines again, of course. It is not the last time, but we did. And this time, we was not attacked by Shurik. Interesting that something so fundamental that's happening in 3 other runs does not happen when you are with Slavya. Interesting. Also, and notice is that when we were with Alyssa, we went in through a secret tunnel that we found in the forest on our way to the old camp. So this is the one thing that changes the most during gameplay when you go with different girls. So that's fun. I like that. But yeah, that will be it for today's episode. So thank you guys for watching. And thank you also for donating directly to my Ko-fi page. If you guys want to help me out, you can do so by clicking the link down in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.